This demonstration is going to talk about how our solution integrates Linux with the directory for both authentication and access control and authorization. So any of our users currently are configured to authenticate to the Linux platform because we've populated the Linux attributes such as GID number, home directory, login shell, and UID number. But you may not want everybody in the directory to authenticate to all of your Linux systems that are configured for LDAP authentication. And the way you can stop this is by telling the LDAP configuration on the OS to require someone to be a member of a certain group before allowing them onto this server, which would be a level of access control. So to demonstrate this, we can quickly try to log in as one of our directory users, and we'll see that the OS is going to complain that the user must be a member of our Linux access group. And as we saw in the previous demonstration, to be made a member of that group, we have to request it via our workflow. So I'll log in as the same user that we just tried, which is our Shayna user. We'll request Linux access. And then we'll log in as the manager to approve the access request. And upon doing this, we'll try the same command to authenticate as that user, and we'll see that we now have been able to authenticate. So that level of access control was granted, and now we're able to access the operating system. Now, being back logged in as root, we're going to make a directory called webdev. So if we look at the webdev directory, by default, root is the owner and the root group is the group owner. We're going to come back to our directory and we're going to manually create a group object and call it webdev as well. And since we're doing this manually, we also have to extend the group object to be visible to the Linux operating system by making it a member of the POSIX group and populating its attributes for Linux. And now that that group is there, we can come back to the OS and we're going to change ownership of that webdev directory so that our new webdev group is the group owner. So now if we look at webdev, we have root as the user owner and webdev as the group owner. And then we'll change the ACLs on that to allow the webdev group and the root user to have full rights to the webdev directory. So now you can see that group has read, write, and execute as well as root. So if we log in again as our user who was just granted access to authenticate, we'll have her access our webdev directory and attempt to create a file called test. And we'll see that she has permission denied. And the reason she gets permission denied is because she is not root and she's not a member of the webdev group. So now if we come back to the directory and we're going to manually add her to the group, and of course this could be done through role-based entitlements or through another workflow to grant this access. But we're going to do it manually. So she's now assigned to that group. So we'll authenticate as her once again. And we'll again change to the webdev directory and attempt to create a file. And as we can see, we were able to create that file because that person is now in the webdev group. So that demonstrates authenticating to the Linux server, access control as to whether or not you have access to the server, and then using groups to provide authorization once you've logged into the server.